Hi everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. My name is Owen Newcomb, and today I'll be sharing my final multimodal project, Fashion's Future Starts Here. This project grew from my interest in fashion, and I wanted it to reflect not just on my personal style, but also my responsibility and the role that I play in helping keeping the earth clean and reinforcing the younger generation to choose a more sustainable fashion choices. Now, moving on to what the real problem is in the fashion industry. Fast fashion. Fast fashion dominates the clothing industry today, but behind the constant stream of cheap, trendy clothes lies a massive environmental and human cost. It's responsible for global carbon emissions, and it creates a lot of the world's water pollution, which I'll get a little bit more into the specifics on the next slide. On top of that, every second, the equivalent to one garbage truck full of wasteful textiles is being thrown into landfills or they're burned. But fast fashion's harm doesn't stop at just the environment. It thrives on labor exploitation, trapping millions of garment workers in unsafe factories for outrageous wages. Fast fashion uses flashy marketing and fast-moving trends to distract consumers from the true cost of their clothes, like environmental destruction and human suffrage. The system is designed to hide the damage, and I think it's time that we pull back the curtain. Now that we understand the scope of the problem, I think it's really important that we look at exactly who is paying the price for fast fashion success. First, there's the environment. The fashion industry is responsible for 10% of the global carbon emissions and 20% of global wastewater, which happens to be more than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. Next, we're moving on to the workers. Millions of garment workers, most of them being women and children, work in unsafe factories for wages as low as $3 a day, which is absolutely insane and not anywhere near a sustainable living wage. And finally, consumers themselves also pay a price. Fast fashion creates a false sense of urgency, encouraging endless buying while leaving behind low-quality clothes and mounting environmental guilt. So, has anything been done to fix this? Yes, but not enough. Sustainable fashion brands like Patagonia and Reformation have led the way with ethical production, but their prices are still too high for most shoppers. Thrift shopping and recycling programs help, but only about 15% of the clothing actually gets recycled, and even less is truly reused as new clothing. And while some governments like France have proposed anti-fashion laws, the enforcement is weak, and major brands still find loopholes. Clearly, these small steps aren't nearly enough. We need a real transformation. That's why I propose a new path forward, a circular fashion economy. In a circular model, waste is minimized and every product is reused, repaired, or recycled into something new. This means integrating recycled materials into production, ensuring fair wages and safe conditions for workers, and giving consumers the tools to make informed choices about what they buy. Now, the main goals of the solution are simple. First, we're drastically reducing the amount of clothing waste that ends up in landfills. We're also protecting and empowering workers with fair wages and ethical working environments. And we also are going to be educating consumers so that they can shop responsibly and demand transparency from brands. Fashion can still be fun and expensive, but it should still be ethical and sustainable. Now, here's how we're going to get there. We're going to follow a step-by-step plan. I think the first step should be that brands must invest in recycled and upselling materials. This is proven possible by Adidas's Parley Ocean plastic line. The second step would be that companies need to commit to ethical production verified by third-party audits to ensure fair wages and safe conditions. The third step would be that brands should launch incentive programs like offering discounts when customers return used clothes or when QR codes are being put on clothing tags, so shoppers can see exactly where and how each of these items are being made. And these steps are used to empower everyone in the fashion cycle, including like producers to consumers. Now, for the feasibility, some people may say that this sounds expensive or unrealistic, but companies like Levi's and Patagonia have proven that the ethical practices can be profitable. Plus, today's consumers, especially like Gen Z, are actively looking for brands that are transparent and sustainable. Now we see that according to Fashion Revolution, ethical fashion isn't just a passing trend, it's the future, and brands that refuse to adapt will be left behind. Now, let's move on to some of the more positive consequences. If we move towards a circular fashion economy, the positive effects will be powerful. We'll see cleaner oceans and less pollution. Workers will have safer jobs and better wages. Consumers will feel better about their purchases, knowing that they're supporting responsible brands. And the fashion industry will finally reflect the creativity and the beauty it promises, not just for a season, but for generations. So, what can we do right now? As consumers, we have a huge role. We can support ethical brands, buy less but buy better, and demand transparency. Brands must be held accountable to their ethical standards. Policymakers must create and enforce stronger regulations. Change is possible, but only if we choose to be a part of it. Now, working on this project has shown me that while fast fashion crisis is massive, it's not hopeless. We have the tools to break the cycle, but we have to act now for a change to actually happen. Fast fashion doesn't have to define the future of style. We can redefine fashion as something that's beautiful, innovative, and responsible. Thank you for taking the time to be part of the solution, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. These are also my references for this presentation. Thank you.